So finally coming to the crux, at least the answer of the Maimer in explaining that Seif Masa Machshava Tchila is even deeper than those Tchilosim V'Seifim V'Tchilosim, even deeper meaning to say than the first conscious motive or cause that begins the Hashpah, that is a Bal Rachamim. In simple language, what causes him in the end to give the coin is which is a Bal Rachamim. And the fact is a Bal Rachamim is expressed at the end. That expresses his core nature. However, Seif Masa Machshava Tchila diak here is not only the final action expresses the very first motive, but you tell me what does he has explained how the Seif Masa is something you wouldn't expect, but that's the reality. We see the way we work this way because we're a reflection of Hashem. And what is that? What's the Seif Masa Mamish? In one word. Not just the Maisa, but the Seif Maisa. Anyone? What do we see in Hashpah? Whether it's a Seichel, Vaseichel, you're giving, a person's giving over, is it, or actual Chesed, whatever the Hashpah is, what do we see? No, the Seif Mass is the way the Oni receives it. That's the Seif Mass. The way the recipient, the Talmud, the Oni receives, that affects the actual Hashpah. Not only does it affect, you feel satisfied, the sense of gratification that you accomplish something. That doesn't affect the Ribui Hashpah. Of course, when you give, you teach or you give a coin to an Ani, so you don't want to waste your time and you want to see and have the satisfaction that the students understand. It's gratifying and that the Ani has been helped. And without that, it's not a gratifying expression. But we see it's not just a question of being gratified. We see that the only the Talmud accepts it, besimcha, whatever, with accepts it in a way that he's engaged in it, not just thank you, goodbye, then that causes a ribui hashpah, a greater tainug in the actual hashpah and a greater hashpah. This is beyond, satisfied, a job well done. There's the satisfaction that you accomplished something. There's not the satisfaction of having accomplished something. This is the effect that the Makabel has on the Mashpia that he could never unlock himself. This Ribuyat Tainug is only because of how he sees how his Ashpah is being taken by the Makabel. And moreover, he says that if the Makabel doesn't want it, spurns it, or just doesn't want it, then the Mashpia is in Mitzdayer. And why should it be Mitzdayer? Okay, it's a waste of time. He regrets that he gave it. He could regret, but why is he Mitzdayer? So it's all pointing to that somehow the Makabel touches in the Mashpia a deeper essence than the whole Rachmim, or the whole being a Baal Seichel, where he's hardwired in terms of his identity, compassionate person, an intellectual person who enjoys teaching. The Makabal touches him deeper. That's what we're learning. Let's start Mizeh moving. Mizeh moving is from top of the page, in the middle of the first of the paragraph. Everybody has it? Let me know, please. You have it. The Mizeh moving. Yeah.
Yep.
Folks. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Mizeh moving. Shekabolas hashpa. The way it's received, Margas ba'emek yoyse touches the mashpia deeper. Afilu meharotzen, and then even deeper, the tainuk shegodam lashbas hachesed v'tov. Even deeper than the ostensible source of it all. He's a Baal Rachamim. He's a Baal Chesed. So even deeper than the Rotzen and the tainuk that he has in self-expression, because that's who he is in bestowing Chesed or Rachamim or teaching. That's what we see. That this is the Inyan. The reason he'll explain in the next paragraph. Another fact, Inyan Seif Ma'aseh Machshava Tchila. Nos Tchilos and B'Seif and B'Tchilos is just the act, the final. My act expresses my original primal desire to do good, to bestow kindness. Here we're speaking not just the final act. The diak is the Seif Ma'aseh. What's the diak of Seif Ma'aseh Machshava Tchila? Again, Machshava Tchila means Machshava Tchila, preceding the Machshava, going deeper. But what's Seif Ma'aseh? Not just the action of bestowing the good, whether it's a literally poor person, he's giving physical help, or he's teaching someone who is intellectually impoverished, at least in that subject. So the Seif Ma'aseh affects not just the hashpah in whatever it happens to be. What does Seif Ma'aseh mean? It doesn't just mean the recipient receiving, but it's the way he receives. So in Kabbalah's hashpah, the emphasis here is the way the recipient receives, not that I just. Means that the giving it, me giving it, the focus is on me giving the Indian to the Oni, that fulfills the Tchila. Here it shifts from me being fulfilled in the final act as the fulfillment of my primary motive. Here the Seif Ma'aseh focuses on the Makabel. All the b'machshava tchila, preceding even in my machshava, which is machshava means that he says the rachamim pshutim, aroused in consciousness, aroused with compassion. The way he receives it affects me deeper than my compassionate nature, which started this whole thing. The ma'ila filu mitchilas vareshis machshava, the first thought, feelings of compassion that are aroused consciously. The way the Makabel receives it goes higher than the actual source that started this whole thing. What's the source? This is the Rotzen, and before that the Tainug that motivates a person to want to help. The way the Makabel receives it touches even deeper. How is that possible? How could the recipient touch me even deeper within myself than I consciously am, than my conscious self is? Now, let's look at the words of the Maimon and try and understand. Tamad Dovahu, the reason is And it's a strange statement on the surface, friends, but here it is. If you should mekabel kodum b'shorshei hashpa, the receiver, his source, is higher than the whole hashpa. V'gam el shorish hashpa, not just hashpa itself. He doesn't emerge at the end of the line. He actually precedes the whole process, the existence of the mekabel, and this relationship with the mashpia. He precedes even el shorish hashpa. Within the mashpia, the mekabel is rooted deeper than the source of the hashpa. What's the shorish? The desire, the tainug to want to give. Kifisha etzam mashpia. He touches the mashpia the way he is deeper than his own makeup. It's a statement. What's that about? He's somebody else. What are you talking about? He's somebody else. How can that somebody else be rooted in me deeper than my persona at the very source? Very source, this person is a Baal Chesed, a Baal Rachmim, and his tainug is in giving and helping. Very deep, deeply wired and wonderful trait. The Makabel is rooted in me deeper than that. The Makabel, he's not even my world. He's the guy I'm helping. Because he doesn't have, and I do, and I am, and he isn't. But that's what the Maimon says, doesn't it? Let's go further. We'll try enough explanation. Let's finish the ois. And likewise by the Eibush, everybody's following this incredible statement, all appreciating it. It's the Chameri de Kazach. That the source of the creations rooted deeper in the Eibishter, higher even than this primary motive to bestow good. Let's continue the words of the Maimer, in some of that which is known. That the Keli in its source precedes the revelation, again, recipient, higher than Mashpia, than the Hashpa. So much so, that the Tzimtzum, which obviously emerges after the Oir, and then compromises it, nonetheless, and Shehu Sheresh HaKelim, the Tzimtzum, which is the source of Kelim, on all of their levels, called the Malagiloi, is rooted in the Yebishter deeper than his revelation. Not only is the Keli rooted in a level that precedes the Oir as it's already manifest, even before revelation, like Koyach, the level of Koyach, the potential for revelation, Kodem Shama Tzimtzum, the Tzimtzum precedes even that level. Now, Hasbara, here it is. Let's see. Key because the whole reason that there's revelation in the first place is that it should be revealed in such a way, and that it be received by the recipient. And what creates a recipient is the tzimtzum, is a world outside of me. Let's finish the ois. I know what you're thinking. I'm thinking. I need to work this through. Didn't explain this that Lahetiv Librov precedes the Oir. But here we're saying higher than Lahetiv Librov. Let's continue. Is that what you're asking? That's what you're thinking? Let's finish the ois. And the same thing is also true down here. With the teacher in the Talmud, or giving teva chesed to the oni, the receiving the ashpa, magazba im yoser, touches deeper than feeling marotzen by tainug shesheresh ashpa, even higher than the desire and the tainug that began the whole ashpa to begin with. Let's learn further in the mind before you offer any kind of attempted explanation.
Quick little question. Before you go further, is he saying, is it implying that the Oni or the Talmud or whoever we're speaking about, the recipient, is higher than the Mashpia, or is it higher than the place where the Mashpia wants to give consciously?
Yes, the second. Higher than the place.
Okay.
Than the place where the Mashpia wants to give, with the whole Rotzen and Tainug is Nis'oire.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So let's go further a little bit. The close Inyan, like we're learning together here now, and the general Inyan is the whole say that Aishtal Shalos. So in all of say the Ishtal Shalos, the whole system of the divine, yes, by Tchila there's beginning and end. That say the Bekdusha, and the natural order is of Ishtal Shalos. Should not say from Betchilasim, say from Betchilasim, that the final act realizes the original intent. And the original intent is expressed in the final act. That's Mitzad Ishtal Shalos. That's Mitzad the divine system. Again, that makes perfect sense. Person's a Bala Rachamim, and where's it manifested and given expression to in the act, in the end, not just the desire, but the act of the bestowal. But now we're saying, here we're touching the Eibishter, or the Mashpia, higher than his conscious system, higher than Seder Shtal Shalos, higher even in the first step, the Tainug and the Rotzen, to give or to teach, whatever the case may be, even deeper than that, what stirs the etzem of the mashpia, mamish, is the seif masa, is the focus on the makabel and the way he receives. Therefore, it's lower even in the act. You've done the act. You've given it. It's out of your hands now. How is it being received? How is it being received by the makabel? That touches you deeper than the whole being a Bala Rachamim. It will cause pain if he's not receiving it well, and will cause a whole new level of ashpa if he is. The safe masa is not your act, but the safe masa focuses on the makabel. He's high. His source is higher than your tainug and rotzen within you. So what does this mean? How could that be? He's somebody else. How is he rooted in me this way? Let's turn the page. I don't know if anybody's body is coming. No. Okay, so let's offer some explanation. Bemis, this idea, of course, is a central idea in Chassidus. As mentioned yesterday, the L'chadoidi Maimer, the Shoresh of Malchus, which is higher than the Shoresh of Zohar, which is the Mashpia. It's the same general Indian. And also it's the same, generally speaking, of the fact that Machshava Dibur Maisa are rooted deeper in the Nefesh than Seichel and Midas and even Ratzon and Tainuk. even though machshava dibur ma'aseh is all for the other. So what's das about over here? What does it mean? Looking at the words of the Maimer, just to see these words. Tam hadover fi shemakabel kodum b'shorshe elashpa. And then what does it mean, l'mayla? How all the words are used to say how it is l'mayla? The debruyim, where is it? So l'chayra, friends, l'chayra, open to explanation. He's speaking here about Eden, not creation in general. Even though the statement "Hetiv libruov" is an all-encompassing statement, but l'chayra is speaking dafka by Eden, because the neshama is mushish and atzmus, and therefore this whole model is speaking about Eden. It happens also, obviously, for l'chayra, for all humans, but the root of it is because that's the way it is by Eden. So l'chayra. So what's the word? The word is that adarabbe. Let's talk about the Jew. The place where another Jew belongs is dafke and etzem and neshama, because that's where we're all one. Adarabbe. We're separate only in terms of consciousness, Rotz and Tainug and everything else that proceeds from there. The B'tzad Etzem and Neshama, Chelik Lekam Yimal Mamish, so they were all one. So that's why only another Yid, embracing another Yid and being affected by another Yid, truly unlocks the essence of who I am, because in other words, if I'm not affected by the other person, if I'm not affected, then I'm not expressing the essence of me being Jewish. It's in his effect on me. Why? Not because, again, I had satisfaction, I did a good job or didn't, but Pasha Tainug Otzar, his matzav, his situation, is pale by me, Tainug Otzar. Why? It's higher than Tainug Otzar. It will pale more Tainug Otzar because it touches deeper. Why? Because at the core, we are one. And that core is higher than my tainug, my thoughts, and any conscious expression of myself. It's the chelik lekam mimal mamish. And same with the Eibishter and the Shamas Yisrael. The source of the lahetiv libru of, again, referring to Yidden, is because the Neshamas are chelik lekam mimal mamish. And therefore, the way we receive God's ashbar, the relationship that He desires with us, because we are one in essence, and wants that oneness to manifest itself and embrace every aspect of our being as we come into a guf. If we spurn Him, not only His creation was a waste of time. He's touched the core of the Eibishter's being, because we are one with Him. Because the neshama is a chelik lekam al mamish, and then comes this neshama should come down into a guf and become a bruya of a nivra, and they lahetiv have a relationship. But really, the essence of it all before any process began is all Yidden are one with each other and all Yidden are one with the Eibishter. That's the etzem. And therefore, the way this Jew relates to me, not just he just got what I gave him, but to put it in Pashut, the most Pashut language, the Seif Mas is the relationship component of this bestowal. Did he smile at me? Did I smile back? Was there a relationship forged here? Or just simply a lack fulfilled? You don't have what to eat, now you have what to eat. Have a good day, move on. And I'm going to do good, the do good, the do gooder, the goody goody two shoes. When I find somebody else to do good with. Who else needs? Who else needs? Come along, or I'll go to you. And then when you give it, move on. Next. No. The safe masa is the relationship, how the oni was makabelit. That's what touches the etzem. Why? Because he's no stranger to me. But etzem is no stranger. We're one. But at what level? The etzem level. Hide in my consciousness. And he unlocks that if he receives it lovingly. And that transforms my whole hashpah. It's not next. The whole hashpah is a whole new level because the etzem is now in a state of stirred and expressed. So the nekuda l'chayda, friends, l'chayda, saying l'chayda. The nekuda of the answer is that the makabel kodam shorshay el hashpah is higher than the hashpah within the mashpia. What does kodam shorshay mean? The keli is rooted in atzmos, the deeper than the oil, because God's desire in the end is a relationship with us lamata, because kodam shorshay, because we're rooted in atzmos, and that's why this whole process, this whole creation, he wants that relationship, that's the nisave, to be expressed and pervade the neshama as it comes into the guf, which is only a ha'ara, and the guf itself. For the whole world should applaud it and celebrate it and sparkle and reflect that relationship. That's the dira b'tachtonim. Yeah. You hear what I'm saying? Makes sense? Yeah. So it's not just a question of me expressing myself in the deepest way. And that only happens when I actually give the hashpah. That's about me. But when I'm concerned with and affected by the way the recipient receives what I have to give, vulnerable there in pain if it's not accepted, and great tainuk if it is, and the focus is not that I express myself, but you. The paradox of the Pella is that's when the true self, the true essence is expressed. To rephrase that, the deepest part of me is expressed when I allow myself to be affected by somebody else, vulnerable to somebody else. Why? Because that somebody else is not somebody else. If I really let them in unqualified, then that other person unlocks the etzim of my own neshama, which is where we are one. That's why you affect me. So the end is it's a safe master, the way the Makabal receives it, that touches the essence of the Mashpia. Higher than the Ashpah per se. And therefore the Ashpah becomes Beribui, godly Yosef, and so on. Way the Tainuk. And why? Because it's all reflection of Hashem. And that's God's. And then his Ave is all rooted. Lahetiv libruav. Why? Because the Neshama is a chelik l'kavim al mamish. That's really the essence of it all. And this Neshama comes down into the guf and his knee, and we need the rachon v'chanon. And in our relationship with Hashem l'mata, we reveal Atzmusi is Baruch Mamish, his very essence. Yeah.
So basically, we're saying that the action, and correct me if I'm wrong, the action of helping somebody else is deeper than even the notion of the thinking about
No. What you just described now, the action helping somebody else, that's not tchilas and v'seifim b'tchilas. We're saying now is the way
he receives it. The way he receives it is higher than the place than we our notion of even thinking about him to do some kindness to him.
Yeah, okay, yes. Let's restate that simpler. Nos tchilas v'seifim b'tchilas unlocks the fact that I'm a Baal Rachamim. I'm a Baal Rachamim. I'm wired to be. I'm a wide, compassionate person. Seit Maseh Bachshavat Chila. The way that the Makabal, the way he receives it, unlocks within me not just I'm a Baal Rachamim, my very etzem. He touches my very etzem higher than the tzir, this wiring of being a Baal Rachamim. And how is he able to touch me so deeply? Because it's only at that etzem level that we are one. In other words, if I reveal and I live a life where my etzem and neshama is revealed, every Jew is there. I'm living for every Jew. Cannot live in isolation. If I only operate, this is vata tetzaveh. If I only operate at the level of consciousness, my rotzen and tainug and everything else, good. So you figure out my life marginally. To be fulfilled, I need someone to give my ashpah to. I'm not always in a state of Baal Rachmim, so when I'm not in the state of my Rachmim stirred, you don't figure in my life. But if a Yid that operates, this is what a Rebbe is, Begoli, and Nasi HaKoel, it's what a Rebbe is. And Nasi HaKoel means that his whole consciousness, consciously all the time, is the Etzem and Neshama, and therefore naturally every Yid is there. And Nasi HaKoel. His whole life is every Yid, constantly, 24/7. Because he transparently, his neshama embodies gilui of etz and the chilek lakamim mal mamash, and that's where all Yidden are one. So he's naturally living for every Jew. But everybody else, we can easily get locked in self. What is going to unlock my etzem and neshama? If when I give, I don't just give, but I'm also acutely aware of how it's being received and allow that to affect me. It's a relationship. Get involved in the Ani's life, not just give him the help. Then he reveals within me the etzem and neshama. Why?
And on the flip side,
etzem and neshama, we are one. What?
And on the flip side, chas v'sholom, when you do something bad to another person, it's rooted in a very deep place too.
Yeah.
The flip side.
Yeah.
Which is
the end of the
day, which is very, very, very powerful.
Yeah. That's what this is. Mefaise biyud aleph. Yeah. Nesens dake misbarach be sheish brachas. Mefaise biyud aleph. This is even deeper than that. Again, this is the focus on the person being mefais the ani. He was saying even deeper. You just watch this guy. How is he reacting? It's not about me and done now. How is he reacting and allowing that to affect me? That unlocks my etzem and neshama. And as you say, if well, he said if the ani doesn't receive it well, or God forbid, you're referring to a situation where actually hurting somebody else. So it comes out, we all know the biggest hurt is not the action. Sticks and stones may break my bones, and words will never hurt me is nonsense. Words hurt a lot more than sticks and stones. It's one thing to externally, you hit, you didn't do. But if you embarrass the person and you're dismissive of them, that's the greatest pain. When you exclude me from your life, you ignore somebody, you're hurting them much more than being whatever, angry or talking disrespectfully. That's terrible. But ignoring is even worse. You just shut them out of your life. When the deepest truth is you are one. So by shutting them out, you've denying, it's not true, but you're denying the deepest truth of why you guys are together, in the first place.